Welcome to Weekend Breakfast. I'm Eliza Harvey.
And I'm Oscar Sabakti. Making news this morning. Drastic measures in Belgium. Troops patrol the streets for the first time in decades to guard potential terrorism targets.
Also ahead, death by firing squad. Indonesia executes 6 drug convicts overnight, including 5 foreigners.
A man charged with the murder of his estranged partner after her body was found in an underground Sydney car park.
And a disappointing loss for the Socceroos in the Asian Cup, going down to South Korea in a game of missed chances. Hello, thanks for joining us. It's Sunday the 18th of January.
Also coming up on Weekend Breakfast, taking the fight to mental illness.
Actually really rocks your confidence, and even though you have the counselling to kind of handle the flashbacks, there was still something I needed, and I found that in Winter Warrior. I found that confidence and that reward for putting effort in.
300 soldiers will be mobilised in Brussels, Antwerp and at potential targets across the country. Europe remains on high alert after the recent terror attacks in France. And more than 20 people have been arrested in Belgium, France and Germany. Belgium's Defence Minister says the soldiers will be supporting police to protect potential terrorist targets across the country.
In a set of 12 measurements that the government has decided upon yesterday, there's one. It's a deployment of, for the moment, 2 companies of defence in support of the national police force. The tasks that have been given is a task of static defence of specific locations and the people on these locations.
In Algeria, anger is building against French magazine Charlie Hebdo's cartoon depiction of the Prophet Muhammad. Hundreds of thousands of protesters marched in the capital Algiers to express their distaste. And in Niger, 3 churches were set on fire and at least 45 people were injured during a second day of violent protests. The French embassy is warning its citizens living there to stay at home.
Indonesia has executed 6 people convicted of drugs offences, including 5 foreigners. A spokesman for the Attorney General's office says the foreigners were from Brazil, the Netherlands, Vietnam, Malawi and Nigeria. All the convicts were executed by firing squad. 2 Australians remain on death row in Indonesia. Mayuran Sukumaran has already been denied a presidential pardon.
European authorities say they expect to resume services this morning through the Channel Tunnel connecting Britain and France after a truck caught fire. Passengers on the Eurostar train were evacuated after smoke was detected in the tunnel. The tunnel's closure has caused widespread travel disruptions. No one was hurt in the incident, which is not being treated as suspicious.
Residents in Malawi are digging through mud and sand to try to find missing relatives as floods continue to devastate the country. Armed with hose and sticks, people are digging in the debris to find the bodies of those who may have drowned or been swept away by floodwaters. Officials say more than 176 people have died and at least 200,000 have been made homeless by the floods.
In Yemen, the President's Chief of Staff has been abducted by gunmen in the country's capital, Sana'a. Houthi rebels say they abducted Ahmed Awad bin Mubarak to prevent a UN-brokered deal between them and the presidency being broken. The country has been plagued by instability since mass protests forced former President Ali Abdullah Saleh to step down in 2011. Scores of people have been killed in clashes between Houthis and Sunni militants.
Indonesian officials have identified 5 more bodies from the wreckage of the AirAsia plane crash, bringing the total number of identified bodies to 45. The bodies of 4 men and 1 woman, aged between 10 and 55, will be returned to their families for burial. AirAsia flight QZ8501 had 162 passengers on board when it crashed into the Java Sea on its way to Singapore last month.
A man is due to face court today charged with the murder of a woman in Sydney's west. The body of 26-year-old Layla Alavi was found inside a vehicle in an underground car park at Auburn yesterday morning. Police say initial examination suggests she was stabbed. A 33-year-old man has been charged with murder and contravening restrictions in an apprehended violence order. A number of witnesses are also being questioned.
New South Wales MP Gary Edwards has been expelled from the Liberal Party 5 months after being forced to stand aside over corruption allegations. At the Independent Commission Against Corruption last year, Mr Edwards was asked about an envelope he allegedly received from the then Newcastle Mayor Jeff McCloy in 2010. The envelope allegedly contained hundreds of dollars. The Swansea MP told the inquiry he took the envelope but did not open it. Last night he issued a statement saying the Liberal Party emailed him to say he'd been expelled. He'll remain as the Swansea MP.
Drenched by unseasonable rain, a devout crowd welcomed the Pope to Tacloban with warmth as he held Mass for tens of thousands of people. This was a visit of significance on a personal, religious and political level. Pope Francis' visit here, an area where people have suffered through intense and frequent storms, is part of his avowed hope to push negotiators to reach a meaningful agreement at important climate change talks later this year. It's said the Vatican will shortly issue an encyclical, that's to say new Catholic doctrine, on its position on climate change.
And there he is, Pope Francis, delivering a message of compassion to the typhoon victims here in the Philippines and delivering a message to the world about the devastating effects of climate change.
Changing weather patterns are part of the reason why life continues to be difficult in seaside communities here. These women survived Typhoon Haiyan in 2013 and have formed an association to try to help themselves.
So they look forward to the Pope's visit as a break from all this, and hopefully the Pope will put some sense into how people understand poverty and the effects of climate change on poverty and how it really promotes more poverty in the lives of people like these women.
Here, with the help of a priest, they try to overcome their fear of the sea since the typhoon hit and remember their relatives and friends who were killed. Pope Francis managed to briefly meet some Typhoon Haiyan survivors and visit a mass grave. But the pontiff apologized for having to cut short his visit. Another typhoon was moving in.
A monsoon trough extending from southeastern Queensland to central Australia is causing widespread thundery showers. The trough is maintaining thundery showers over the top end and Kimberley. A gusty westerly flow over Tasmania and southern Victoria is producing cool showers. Looking around the country now, and that trough is causing showers and storms for the east of Queensland, heaviest in the tropics, hot in the state's west with isolated storms in the northwest. New South Wales can also expect showers and storms in the east, mostly sunny in the west, and a cool day for the southeast. Cool and mostly cloudy conditions forecast for the southern parts of Victoria, sunny and mild in the north. Tasmanians can expect light showers mainly in the west and south of the state, brisk westerly winds easing throughout the day. A warm day for northern parts of South Australia, early drizzle easing in the southeast. Hot temperatures and thunder forecast for inland WA, with a cooler change for the southwest. Isolated showers and storms for the Kimberley. And up in the Territory, you can expect showers and storms in the north, mostly sunny and hot in the south. Looking ahead to the capital cities for tomorrow, possible thunderstorms in Brisbane. Showers for Sydney, a cloudy Monday in Canberra, increasing sunshine for Melbourne, a mostly sunny day in Hobart, Adelaide and Perth, and possible thunderstorms forecast up in Darwin. Time to take a look now at the front pages of today's major newspapers. And Queensland's Sunday Mail reports that former prison officer Belinda Johnson, a candidate for Pauline Hanson's One Nation party, has been cleared by the Crime and Misconduct Commission after investigations into payments from a drug dealer.
The Sunday Telegraph reports on the tragic death of 26-year-old Layla Alavi, who was found stabbed to death in her car in a Western Sydney car park. Ms Alavi had been to court this week and had an apprehended violence order against her former partner. He's been charged with her murder.
Toxic trouble. Sydney's Sun Herald writes that a bitter fight between Sydney's western and northern suburbs is set to be reignited if the state government pursues a plan to store uranium waste from a Hunters Hill site to Kemps Creek near Penrith.
The Sunday Herald Sun reports on an unprecedented crackdown by Victoria Police on child sex offenders. Measures will include warnings for single mums about starting relationships with dangerous offenders, offenders undergoing courses and daily routine checks on offenders' homes.
The Sunday Tasmanian says local councils have warned the state government that they'll expect millions of dollars in compensation before considering amalgamations. There's currently 29 councils across the state.
And Adelaide's Sunday Mail is running a report on education, claiming primary school teachers may soon be forced to specialise in specific subjects in an effort to turn around the falling performance of children in maths and science.
Potential terror targets across Belgium as Europe's law enforcement agency says it's struggling to cope. We'll have the latest from Brussels.
Also ahead, Pope Francis forced to cut short his visit to the Philippines as a band of poor weather sweeps typhoon-devastated Tacloban.
And later we visit Brisbane's pop-up pet shop and take a look at the successful initiative aimed at helping stray animals find a new home.